Icardi started struggling once the renewal numbers came out. Once money, million, right? Once the million started ding, 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 ding in his ears. That's it.
Oh, everybody, keep fighting. We're rising, it's all worth it. Brothers and sisters, is where we all belong. Different color, same game, we all worship.
What is up, everybody, and welcome back to the Serie audio experience with IFTV. We don't have Antonio today. He wasn't available to come and film. So we've got Ludovico back again. Ludo,
Thank
fan
you so
favorite.
much for having me.
Thank you for being back.
Always a pleasure.
Everybody always loves asking you. The Napoli fans, they're obsessed with you. We get like at least hundreds of DMs for everybody. Guys, we need Ludovico back on. We need to hear him speak about Napoli more.
Royal today.
There we go. It was a great week of Serie A. Ups and downs, a lot of surprises as we always expect. The 3rd to 7th place, guys, there's 5-point difference between 3rd place and 7th place in Italy. The competition for the Champions League spot is just heating up, right? Mike, what do you think?
It's looking crazy. We're making a graphic on this, and we're like, whoa, let's check out this table. The Champions League and, like you said, Europa League. All these teams could be switching back and forth, and Europa League too. I don't think any team is safe. They're only going to be fighting till the last day, I think.
And the best part is that Atalanta's 1 point away from that 4th spot.
Yeah, we're going to be asking some fun questions afterwards.
If they could do it, it's crazy.
You know what? It means so much more because the 4th spot guarantees Champions League.
Sure.
Like in the past, it was
round.
So like imagine like Atalanta or one of the smaller teams.
Once you
making
hit 4th
it.
place, you're set.
You're in,
Sure.
and that's $30 million, and then all the other money that you make. So it means a lot more than what it once was.
We've seen
how many times Udinese used to make it, and then
they didn't make it.
And then they got
even Roma with Porto, who they're going to play this week. We were just saying how was it 2 years ago that they played Porto for the qualifications, but now that qualification spot. It's a good point. Let's go straight into the matches. We got a lot of fan questions today. We're gonna have a good fan question heavy segment towards the end, but we'll start off from the top. Roma, right? We got they got the Champions League this week. They got back to winning ways against Chievo 3-0 with Dzeko on the score sheet. We know that they're gonna be missing a lot of players for this Champions League spot. Actually, Sheik is out. Manolas is back. Olsen is still 50-50. We don't know between him and Mirante, but they're definitely not going to be 100%. Back to winning ways, but against Porto, I think it's going to be a little bit of difficult. They're going to struggle a little bit more, right?
Yeah, Porto, their last 2 games, they didn't get a win yet, but they're still on top of their league, so it's always going to be a tight. It's always going to be a tight race between them because we all know what happened last time. Also, a fact I don't really want to say Roma never beat Porto in a European competition.
They never
before.
won.
They never played many times either, so it's not like I think they only played 2 or 3 times. So, but yeah, it's not the history's not on their side. But
did you guys see the Roma game at all?
I didn't see the game. I saw the goals. I'm glad that Roma is back, and I'm glad also for Di Francesco because he's a coach that I like. And that's where Roma belongs. It couldn't be any better race between all those teams. It's going to be great until the end for the 4th place. And I am sure that in Champions Leagues they're going to come out. They're going to come out strong. And it's good to see Dzeko score because he hadn't scored in a while. Actually, this Sunday there were a lot of center forwards that scored, right? Petagna scored, Zapata scored, Dzeko scored, Destro scored.
He hasn't scored a goal.
Yeah. So there was PIATEK score. So it was good. It was good to see all the center forwards from the old and the new score.
Roma, in my opinion, you never know which Roma you're going to get, whether it's Champions League or it's Serie A. They did lose once in Champions League. Also, they received 7 goals a couple of years ago. It happened in Coppa Italia. You never know what might happen. It's a team that's very fragile mentally. It's a fragile locker room. And Di Francesco is sometimes I feel is like trying to climb on mirrors and trying to perform psychological miracles, but it's hard. Roma, it's always been a city like that, and just look at the amount of coaches that they went through in the past 15 to 18 years, the amount of coaches that that came and went in Roma. It's not an easy piazza. It's not an easy city, as they would say in Italy. So let's hope it's an Italian team in Champions League. But Porto is a very physical team.
Yeah.
It's a team that plays together. It's like watching Porto play. It's like watching Atalanta play. So it's a unit of 11 players that will press you, and that will make your life very difficult at the end. But most important, that they don't score.
Yeah.
Don't allow the other team to score.
Because they're at home first.
Correct.
No,
They're
that
playing in
window
Rome
was very
first.
Yeah.
crucial.
We'll give a good prediction on the game. But I think one thing, it was either Peter or Antonio said last week, talking about your leadership and De Rossi being back on the pitch. They came off that really bad game with Fiorentina conceding a lot of goals. And was it you that said they wouldn't have conceded those if De Rossi was on the pitch? And I think he is one of those guys that, we saw how he stuck up for Kolarov with all the controversy he's going through. He's a guy that's not going to let the team go down.
He's a field
I
coach.
was the one that said it, and I think
Sorry about that.
Excuse us.
Peter was nodding along.
I was saying, was it Antonio?
It was Antonio.
I was the one that said it.
I thought you was going to come next week as you say it was him.
I think that I've said it before, with Roma, it's who's the leader of that team. If De Rossi is not there, there's no leader. When he's on the field, I mean, that guy, have you seen the way he screams sometimes when he goes in and then he gets up and he screams? He could kill you. He will kill you. He will either get the ball, get the man, or he will give you stitches. And he's one of those guys, he grew up from... he's from Roma.
He's a gladiator.
He's the gladiator. He's got it inside of him. He will do anything, not to concede a goal and to have his team. So he does a lot. To me, he does a lot on the field. Even if he doesn't play the best game, just his presence in the field does a lot for Roma.
This is a good thing, a good topic, because I remember even in Euro 2016, right, when Conte was calling up De Rossi, everyone was so mad that De Rossi was called up. And I was very on the side of bringing up De Rossi just because of the presence that he gives you on the field and in the locker room. He's a guy, he knows his place. He knows I'm not going to be able to give a nice ball. I'm not really going to create these chances, but I'm going to stop the other team from doing that. And I'm going to put the guys who know how to give those passes in the right position, which was, he would let Pirlo, do the work on Italy. He knew what to do.
One thing that Ludovico said is one of the toughest place to play, Roma. Because if you saw what they did to Kolarov, the fans, they went and they wrote in his house, and the words that they wrote outside his house, they were not, it was not nice. But what did De Rossi do to show his leadership? De Rossi went and he defended Kolarov and he defended Florenzi. And it's not an easy place to defend with the Roman curva, with the fans, with the fanatics behind there. So it showed that he's got, guts and to stand up and defend his teammates.
But in regards to you guys talk about leadership, I agree. De Rossi, great leader. Roma had Totti for so many years. They played together, leaders on the field. But I feel even with those two guys, Roma was never able to become a powerhouse. There's always these up and downs through the years, even with these two leaders, Roma-born players, Totti and De Rossi. So I feel it has something to do with the club itself, that every year that club has to rebuild, have to sell certain players, and when you start with the foundation of something, then all of a sudden that foundation crumbles and you have to start over again from scratch, and a coach basically has to improvise who to play and how to play, because that team has been dismantled because of club issues, financial issues that we don't know. So sometimes it's not just about showing the leadership on the field. It's also having a club behind you that protects the coach, protects the players, and the the entire ambiance of the city itself.
Which is why we all stuck up for Di Francesco, because I felt like that's what we all thought. And, that's why Monchi has been the one that they've said is like, no, we're not going to sack Di Francesco. Pallotta said, yes, we have to. But maybe somebody who comes from a footballing world understands that, listen, you got to give the coach some time. Sacking a coach doesn't always do a great job in turning things around when it's not exactly the coach's fault. But we'll get into a preview a little bit more. Let's go through the Serie A games. The next game, Fiorentina-Napoli, 0-0 draw in Firenze and Florence. Really great match to watch, I felt like, just because the two goalkeepers on display, one 20 years old, one 21 years old, Lafont from Fiorentina and Meret from Napoli, they were spot on that night. I thought they did an incredible job, specifically Lafont. He's been on the radar of Europe and of a lot of people where everybody's talking about him. But man, the guy had some cat-like reflexes. And to me, this would have been at least a 2-2 game if you had any other goalkeeper on both sides. They were great chances, but even better goalkeeping.
The game plan, it was a great game plan by both coaches. The Fiorentina coach pressing Napoli very high and not allowing Napoli to pass the first defensive line of Fiorentina. But once Napoli did pass let's say overpass the initial pressing, and Napoli got to the other side, then Napoli created great chances. Ancelotti, on the other hand, you have Muriel, you have Chiesa, two guys that can really hurt you on the speed and can really hurt you on the box. And I can say that both of them did not touch any balls. So
Chiesa did a little bit. Muriel, no, not
both
as
coaches
much.
did a wonderful job in preparing the game, but I felt Napoli, if Napoli would have won the game, it would not have
been a surprise.
It would not have been a surprise. I think based on the chances that we created.
Yeah, Napoli missed a few clear-cut chances.
First half, it should have been 2-3-0. And nobody could have disputed that. I mean, we really played well.
But as a Napoli fan, because this was, you're playing. Somebody phone? No, I thought I heard something. But as a Napoli fan, we heard Ancelotti even after the match. He said, "Oh, we're 8 points now from Juventus, and tomorrow, whatever happens, we'll see if the light goes out or if the light doesn't go out." Did you feel like this was a game that was the must-win for you, and it wasn't good enough? Like, where do you see that this match? Do you think that the players didn't do well enough? Do you think Ancelotti didn't do well enough, or do you just feel like it was one of those nights where the ball wouldn't go in the back of the net?
It was one of those nights because we executed the game plan really, really well. We deserved to win. It's one of those games that could go either way. You take 6 shots and the goalkeeper makes 6 great saves, then the other team gets one chance and scores. But certain games, it can happen to you the opposite, the reverse. So it's one of those games. I mean, Mertens, let's say he's not a center forward. He's not. So sometimes he scores the most beautiful goals that you say, wow. And sometimes, right, the simple ones. I mean, he did shoot on the goalkeeper. He did make a couple of plastic saves, and then Insigne missed one from a couple of meters from the net. So it's one of those games where it's just unlucky. That's basically what you can say. But yes, you have to put those games away. Technically speaking, you have to put those games away.
Well, Ancelotti said that it was a mental problem because when you are so close to the net and you cannot finish, then there's something that happens mentally. You have to finish that. You are in front of the goal. You are a couple of yards away. You have 4 clear chances. You got to put one away. So he felt like they were not really mentally concentrated on scoring a goal. Because some other people said, "Oh, physically they were not there." Physically, you build up all the way up to the goal. You got there. You were in front of the goal. Yeah. So physically, you did a good job. It's just you have to finish. Yeah. And with Napoli is 1 week is Mertens, 1 week is Milik, 1 week is Messi. So he keeps changing.
Insigne played well. I thought Insigne played well, coming back, checking in at the midfield, receiving the balls. And Callejon played. Allen is back. Completely forgot about PSG. Koulibaly played a great game, so you already have two leaders on the field that played an unbelievable game. Fabian Ruiz now has to get used to his new role. That was once with Amsik's role. And I see that's, to my understanding, that's the Napoli midfielder. Ruiz next to Allan. Those are the two guys in the middle. Callejon on the right, another coach on the field. Then you have Zielinski on the left. That's been playing really
I
well.
agree with that. But I think in Ancelotti's mind is Mertens or Milik. Do I go with Milik one week and then I go with Mertens the other week? Because Mertens last year he did score.
Well, I think at this point, Gaetano, it's not a matter of going 1 week with one player, 1 week to another player. Remember now, from now on, you're going to play 2 games a week. The Scudetto, to my understanding, is gone. So basically, Ancelotti now, he has to find a balance between the Thursday games, Europa League, and the Sunday games in the Serie A. You have Inter, I believe, is 11 points behind or 9 points behind?
9 points.
9 points behind.
Right?
So basically, second
9
place
points.
is locked. So now you have to find that balance. Okay, who am I playing on Sunday in Serie A? Who am I playing against on Thursday in Europa League? Now, how can I mix and match to find a balance and make sure that I have a team that's well rested on Sunday and that's well rested on Thursday and not make the same mistake that Sarri made last year, playing the same 11 players twice a week. You can't do that this time of the year, in this part of the season, if you want to try to win the Europa League. You have to be able to play your 11 best on Thursday and try to find a balance on Sunday and try to maintain 7, 8, 9 points difference
this
between
game
Napoli
that
and
they
Inter.
played on Sunday. You need to win this game
I agree.
because you're 9 points away. 9 points away, you're still in the Scudetto with 9 points because you have to still play Juventus. You win, you 6 points, so anything can happen. With 11 points is a little bit too far, but you never know. But 9 points, so it was important to me that Napoli win this game and stay.
Yes,
Yeah,
and
I
they did
agree
play
with
to
you.
win. They did
Yeah,
play to
they
win.
did. They did 100%, 100%.
It's
No,
not
but
like he did put his 11.
No,
for sure.
we did agree they play great.
Yeah.
He did
It
put his
just-
11 best
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
the field.
100%.
They
I
needed
did not
extra.
agree with Ancelotti the first game against Milan, the 0-0 tie in Serie A. I felt that was not the right formation
To win.
to win. The Milan game in Serie A, the 0-0 tie 2 weeks ago. And then we went to Coppa Italia and played with a couple of different players. I felt that he should have put his 11 best on Saturday against Milan in Serie A, and he didn't. You cannot have a Callejon on the bench. I'm sorry, Callejon is the type of player that he brings balance. He's a coach on the field. He understands the games. The guy is outstanding on the field. You need to have those players on the field, and you need to also have Allan on the field. So again, you're right. I agree. You have to win those games. You have to put those games away the way Napoli played. But
Pete, what'd you think?
No, I just looking at the player ratings, right? For the Gazzetta, Lafon got an 8. It's very hard for a player to get an 8.
It's very hard. Yeah.
And he made, watching the highlights and stuff, he made incredible saves. Napoli were right there, and I think maybe it's a mentality thing or whatnot, but you have to have the killer instinct in front of goal.
Agree.
And put in the place, and that's it. I just see like the subs that he made. Why not try putting another striker in, with Insigne and Mertens? Why make direct substitutions? Because you have Milik and Verde. Maybe add another striker in the last 15 minutes to play with 3 strikers or something.
He did
He
put
put Verde,
in
but
the
he
last
took
20
out.
minutes.
But he took out Insigne and Mertens.
No, Insigne, they both came out.
Yeah.
They both,
So that's why I was just a question.
No,
Why
I
not-
was thinking the same
Why not
thing.
put another
He
striker?
wanted
I did think
basically,
chance
he
to
wanted
do.
basically the fresh man, the Verdi with the 1v1 to try to take a man on and try to get into the box with the 1v1 because Fiorentina could not withhold that pressure that they had the beginning, the first 50, 60 minutes. Then the last 20, 30 minutes, players were falling all over the place. They got tired, cramps. Fiorentina got really tired because they were pressuring Napoli really, really high. So he did put Verdi to try to finish the game on the, try to a fresh player that could take on a 1v1 player.
I wanna give some credit to Fiorentina also, because I thought that they played a great match. I thought they came out with a great strategy to play against one of the best teams in Italy. He started with Muriel and Chiesa. I was a little bit disappointed in Muriel. I didn't think that he played too well. I thought Chiesa had a great match, a very good match. But also, just the unity of the team of Fiorentina was incredible to me. I mean, I know Napoli, they had right in the beginning, right? Mario Rui went out
After 4
with
minutes.
Ghulam. But also Fiorentina at the end, 80th minute, they already used all 3 subs. Their captain, Pezzeia, he got injured. And he wouldn't step off the pitch. He was limping. He was holding his knee. His knee was really hurt. He wouldn't go off the pitch. The guy, for 15 minutes, stayed on, didn't let his team go down to 10 men. And now it came out that he's going to be out for like a month because he tore a ligament. But the guy is a captain, and he wouldn't let his team go down to 10 men. And I think that was the symbolism of all of Fiorentina, was working as a unit to try to grab a point against one of the best coach teams and one of the best technical teams in Italy. So I thought that from Fiorentina's perspective, I thought that they played a great match. I thought they played a smart match. And individually, I thought that they played well.
Very well. A great match prepared by both coaches.
Yeah, I agree.
The game plan was great.
Let's move on. Peter, your Spalletti is saved for another week. If we believe the Italian newspapers, they said that if he didn't get this win over Parma, that Cambiaso was on the other line waiting for the call. You guys won 1-0. Lautaro Martinez. Icardi is struggling a little bit to score. Is it just me who's thinking that, or?
No, I think it also. Icardi started struggling once the renewal numbers came out. Once money, once the millions started ding, 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 ding in his ears. That's it. He stopped.
Look, but he's not even in double digits yet. He's still 9 goals.
Yeah,
everybody else is moving up, and he's at 9
It's
goals.
his worst record.
And his contract expires in 2021.
Yeah.
And so that's when he stopped.
I have a feeling that Marotta every day he's trying to call Vanda. He's like, "Oh, we got to talk today," and then Vanda closes the phone because Icardi didn't score. We know when he scores, then she's gonna raise the price. But anyway, his longest goal scoring drought. A lot of plays that I see Icardi 90% of the time he finishes that. What do you think as an Inter fan?
No, it's troublesome because we had this struggle. Even now, we scored in the 82nd minute, and if we know this already, when Icardi doesn't score or Pesce doesn't score, Inter has maybe I don't know what the percentage is, but a hard time scoring. So Icardi is really the person that we need that stays hot all the time. And you have a lot of criticism about Icardi. He doesn't join in on the play, he doesn't come back, he doesn't help out. But when he's in the area, he's probably one of the best strikers there. And, Chiellini said it himself, who is arguably the best defender right now, not just in Serie A, but in the world. He said Icardi is one of the hardest guys he has to mark.
After Ronaldo. Number 2, that's crazy.
I personally think you cannot expect a great team, a great club, to try to purchase this player when you know that this player has his ups and downs. In order to be a great player, a unique player, you must show continuous day after game. And Icardi doesn't show that, doesn't have that.
For this year,
to get a certain amount of money now every year.
Are you saying that for this season? Because the previous seasons, he always
he's been pretty. I feel like
he was always a good player.
Even Ronaldo, everybody has a game or two that's not good. This one is lasting a little bit longer. I think.
Well, it's 7 games that he doesn't score, and
It's
I think
more.
what Ludovico was saying is once they started talking about this contract deal, I think that's everybody's different, but that causes a disruption in the club, in the management, in the locker room, in the player, in his manager, and you don't need that. There's a time to discuss contract, and I think that the teams that are very serious. Hey, this is the time when we talk contract, not every week for 7 weeks in a row, and for a month every day you talk about the contract. No, this is not the time. This is the time when we're going to talk about contract. Is it at the end of the season? Okay, you wait until the end of the season and then you talk about it. There's too much disruption in this. Now Spalletti yesterday after the game, he said, well, come on, sign this contract. I think that's a criticism to the management
that's what
of the team. So now that
it's not the first time either.
Right now, even the coach is talking about the manager. Can you believe in another? If you would do that for Juventus, that they will. You cannot do that. You have to be together.
Well, I think that's
you be together. When it's time to play, you play. When it's time to talk about contract, you talk about contract.
because it was also when things are bad, that's when everything comes out. You know what I'm saying?
Perisic
Because there's
too, the
you
players that don't wanna
now
stay.
you're not scoring. Oh, the reason why he's not scoring is because he has this thing in his mind, and then that looms and that creates
Exactly.
controversy,
Everyone
and then all the
keeps
players
talking
think
about
this. So it becomes like a rolling ball that just gets bigger and bigger
But that's
as
what
it goes
that's
down.
what I was trying to say before. So now, Marco mentioned Cambiasso before. I want to mention another player, Javier Zanetti. Now, those two players, if you have contract discussions, what do you think those players would have gone on the field? Do you think those players would have stopped playing, or they would have continued giving 150%? I think they would have continued giving 150% because of their mental approach to the game. They're strong mentally. Character, personality comes into play. And I don't feel Icardi has that personality, has that character of a Cambiasso, of a Zanetti. I'm sorry, I do not see that fire in the eyes. I always see a player, even on the field, it's like a face full of makeup that is ready for a show on TV. That
what
is
do you-
ready. I don't see that.
I get what you're saying, but would you have to say something with that is times have changed? Would that be part of it?
I don't think
or
times.
you think it's
I
just
don't
not
think,
a time thing? Or
I don't think times have changed. I think it has to do with personality, with the character, and and the way the player is. Look at, for example, Tevez. Look at Cavani. I mean, you look at Cavani when he plays. Regardless, he could be playing against the Serie C team, or he could be playing in Champions League. He always has fire coming out of his eyes. He won't even recognize his own mom if she walked on the field.
No, I completely get your.
And I don't see that.
I get that.
I don't see that.
100%.
I don't see that in Icardi's eyes. I see a very comfortable. He's comfortable at Inter. He's comfortable in making that appearance. It happens, it happens. If it doesn't happen, it's okay. But if it's not happening, what am I doing in order to make it happen?
No, I completely see how you're balancing the two. And I think that you're right in saying, I remember Cavani. I mean, that guy will rip off his shirt and it's like he's possessed by the devil. No, I get that. But at the end of the day, if we look at the stats and if we look at how many goals Icardi has consistently put in at the back of the net, everybody has their different style. So if his style is not to be like that, I'm okay with it as long as he's scoring goals. And I think, what is he, 26 years old now? Right? Yeah. Something like that.
But if his character and personality would have been a little bit different, you think those goals could have been more?
Well,
I don't know. What works for him works.
Or would have had a better impact on the Argentinian national team?
How many goals has he scored in the last couple of seasons?
I'll get all of his stats.
Yeah,
keep talking.
but,
I'll get it all.
Right.
No.
So let's.
I think in the recent times, he's been one of the top scorers, and he's been Inter's best scorer. At times, yes, he makes mistakes and stuff like that. Is he the type of player, like you say, like Cavani, where he has the passion? I think every player is different in a way. Not every player plays with the same intensity, but doesn't mean that he's not as into the game or as passionate. Everyone shows a certain thing.
I have the numbers
differently.
By the way. Okay. So 2015, he scored more than 16 goals every year. So 2014, 2015, 22 goals. 2015, 16, 2017, 24, last year 29 goals, and this is only in the league. This is the only league. So I think
29.
29. That was when he was tied with Immobile. Yeah. This year he's at 9.
Yeah.
With just the league, with just Serie.
I
see your perspective. I feel like it's a little bit of like a mountain all rolling down at a bad time, even for the coach.
But,
everybody.
This is his first real contract.
No,
but I'm saying like the first real contract where he's expected to make a lot of money. So I think maybe he's just like, I agree with that. Maybe he doesn't know how to handle this pressure right now and all this stuff that's going around him. It's just been really isolating him.
I just feel that he's too comfortable at Inter. And the big clubs around Europe, they see that. Because the clause of 100 million, it's not a huge, for certain clubs in Europe, 100 million is technically nothing. If they would have seen something, I think they would have made the Inter. I want Icardi because I need Icardi on my team, and that's not happening.
Maybe.
And that's not happening.
As far as Inter as a whole, because we got off and we were just talking about Icardi. As far as Inter as a whole, what did you think about? I thought Nainggolan had a very good match coming back in. He was for me one of the better performers. But what did you think? Because Parma is a team that last week against Juventus 3-3. You're playing at their home. This could have been a complicated one.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, especially the way that Inter's been playing. So this is a game that they needed and Spalletti needed, and so it's good to see that the players responded a bit. Maybe they could have played better, but Perisic also played, and he was helped out in the game and created some chances. And these are players that they are of a certain caliber. They have to show up every week. You can't take time off. You have to show up every week. You're getting paid the money. You're on Inter. You have to understand the history of the team. I mean, defensively, we know what we have. We're probably one of the better defensive teams.
Really?
And even the recent losses is more because we lack scoring and the ability to open up play and have that free-flowing game, which is to a criticism of Spalletti, where he's been here for over a year. This is his second season, and there's still a lack of identity of this team. And just too much controversy around the team. And I really thought that Marotta coming in was going to be able to eliminate this, or maybe at least push it down. And I feel like we still haven't been able to really get that face of the franchise. Said, listen, nothing is going on, and no leaks coming out, and no, this player is unhappy and that player is unhappy. And I don't know, because every time something happens transfer market wise, Inter collapse.
Yeah, sure.
Correct. There might be something. Usually, when things like that happen, it happened also in Roma in previous years. There's usually somebody in the locker rooms that leaks the information to that's basically goes against the concept, and they leak information. Marotta came in the middle of the season.
Yeah.
That's not his market. He didn't buy those. He didn't buy those players. He didn't choose the. He didn't choose the coach. So now basically he has to analyze what's happening on and off the pitch, and then basically now we see who's going to go and stay at the end of the season. But you can see that the locker room there is not united. It's not a united locker room. Even Nainggolan. Okay, you got a good Nainggolan on Saturday, and Gotti played well, but now, which Nainggolan is going to show up next Saturday? How many times is he going to go to the discotheque this week? How many times is he going? How many packs of cigarettes is he going to smoke? I mean, there's 2-3 things that Nainggolan puts before soccer. At least 2 or 3. I mean, getting home at late at night and smoking and not taking it. At least
I think that a lot of those things will get pushed over to the side if he was performing though too. That's like true. At Roma, Roma, his performances, especially in the Champions League, who cares if he has a cigarette when look what he's able to do. So I think that
but when you show up late,
I know, 100%. I agree with you. I agree with you.
He's not even taking into consideration for the Belgium national team.
Yeah.
So there's something.
It's all about winning. If you win, those things you
get
don't
swept under the rug.
Yeah, right. Exactly. That's my point.
Yeah, but Gaetano, Vidal was doing the same thing at Juventus, but nothing was leaking out.
Juventus is a different.
I agree, and I spoke about this a couple of weeks ago. Vidal is another was another Nainggolan.
Ludo.
He was sold. He left. He went to Germany.
I was with Juventus, okay, and one player showed up. We're talking about years ago, many years ago.
Stuff, guys.
When
don't say any names.
Okay, I don't say any names.
Don't say any names.
This player, I mean, I was staying there with.
Everybody's gonna be
with the hotel. I was staying in the hotel. I was with. This player showed up after like 2:00 in the morning, and the curfew was midnight. The next day there was a big game at Giant Stadium. Well, he didn't play. The following game, he was on the bench. He never played one more game with Juventus. Okay?
And an important player.
Nothing leaked out. Nobody knew anything. I knew because that's it.
Until today.
That's it. He was... that's it. It's over.
I remember once, I was reading it, I forgot the name of the player, that when Bettega was part of the staff of Juventus, I believe this guy was, this player sent a couple of messages to Bettega's girlfriend. He never played on Juventus. He was sold at the end of the season.
You read that, you're saying?
I forgot the name of the player, though. I forgot the name of the player.
The last thing I was
true.
gonna... Let's keep going.
We're gonna be on Super Sport in the morning, guys.
The last thing I wanted to say was about Lautaro Martinez, who was struggling a little bit. He missed some sitters over the past, but he was able to step up at least to the plate when called upon and scored a very important goal for Inter. I know we have questions about it. But anyway, just wanted to bring that up. Let's move on a little bit. Finish it off with some of the big teams. Juventus beat Sassuolo 3-0. A match which I was expecting to be a little bit more complicated than it was. There was a lot of controversy before we talk about the Dybala, because that's one important part. Ronaldo scored, top goal scorer in Italy, 18 goals. The Juventus defense looked a lot better with Cáceres and Rugani. I think that Cáceres grew in his own a lot more than he did, or a lot better than he looked against Parma. Some important additions. Khedira actually had a very good match. Pjanic, always important. And then that Mandzukic, Ronaldo, very good. Those guys together, they really know how to build off each other. They just know who is where at the perfect time, and they've got a great synergy is the word to say. So there's not too much to really talk about the game.
Sassuolo didn't pressure as much.
Sassuolo, they had in the beginning of the match was their best opportunity where Szczesny, the penalty that they wanted, and then there was the chance where Szczesny came out. Complete blunder, and even then Berardi was not able to, he missed by a few inches, but he still wasn't able to put the ball in the back of the net. And to me, that kind of summed up Sassuolo's night. With all respect.
Very little to discuss here.
Exactly.
Juventus played against Juventus.
It wasn't. No, I think Sassuolo didn't play a good match. They screwed up. They screwed
Juventus
up.
Say against Juventus.
They take a lot of their players.
If Boateng was there, maybe we would have
Well,
Yeah,
I'm not sure about the defense though. That because Rugani screwed up and gave the
Rugani,
ball,
yeah.
and there probably was a penalty there. And then Szczesny.
No, it wasn't a penalty.
Szczesny screwed up too, and
Yeah,
that
he
could have
did.
been 2-0.
That was so bad from Szczesny, what he did.
So I don't know why he came out so.
Yeah,
that was
There's
so
no
strange.
need to go
So
to
arbitrary.
midfield to take that ball. So I think with that defense, they're not going too far. Against Atletico, which is what everybody's waiting for, that's the game.
To prove themselves.
With that defense, they're not going anywhere.
But Bonucci
so
and
we
Chiellini are gonna be
hopefully
back.
that Chiellini and Bonucci comes back.
They're
No, they
likely to
would be.
back.
But
Both of them?
Yeah, both of them. Bonucci is like 99, 98%, and Chiellini's 100.
He's like, don't hold your breath.
Well, we don't know. We still don't know.
I didn't know about Bonucci. I know that
okay.
Chiellini
Yeah.
is
Yeah, but
probably
even
gonna
if they come back,
Yeah,
you don't know how
they're
what
not match fit.
fitness they
Yeah.
have.
No, they're fit.
Think-
Once
talking about them again.
No. Once you go on the field, you're fit. If
Well,
you're
they
not,
experience-
But I'm-
they have
yeah.
if you're
experience,
not
they're
fit,
experienced
you don't
players
go
and-
on
I
the
get what you
field.
mean, Peter. I
Yeah,
get what
but
you
I think
mean.
we're saying the same
Once
thing.
once a coach puts you on the field, you're 100%. A coach will never put you on the field if you're
Depends the
75%, 80%. Absolutely. Not at that level. Not if you're playing in Champions.
I personally think that Juventus in certain games, the most important games, Juventus needs to have the best Mandzukic. I always admire that guy. As a Napoli fan, I always admire him. If that guy would have been in Naples, we would have had at least 2 Scudettos. I think he's a player that makes the difference, and he always comes through in the toughest games. You could always count on him. Quietly, no interviews before the match, no proclamations, nothing. Boom, he gets on the field.
Well said.
He'll score your goal. That's it. You win the game. He goes back in the locker room. He goes home. That's it. I always admire that guy. He puts 150%.
He's probably
He's a silent
Leader.
fuori classe
Yeah,
leader
world class.
of that team.
You could probably say that he's close to be the MVP for Juventus. This guy, you put him at the left wing, he'll play left fullback for you. If you want him to play left fullback, he'll play left
He
fullback.
doesn't say no.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
plays center forward. He plays everywhere.
This guy
He's just a
sacrificed his
winner.
whole body
He's a
too.
winner.
But that's
He's
what-
a winner. He's
but
got the
that's
winner
why
mentality.
Remember when Higuain went to Juventus, before Higuain got to Juventus, he was playing center forward. Now here's a player that maybe he was running 2 kilometers a game. Now Higuain comes in and he accepts to go to the left. Now he goes from 2 kilometers in a game to 11 kilometers a game, going up and down the left wing. If he
He's
would
a
have been a
beast.
different play, would have said, wait a minute.
Exactly.
What's going on here?
Exactly.
I mean, this guy comes and sell me.
Exactly.
Send me to another
Yeah.
team. I want to be sold. I want to leave the club. No, he accepted his role. He was running up and down. He had a great season. But he's a player that you can count on when other players in difficult games, they tend to hide. He comes through at the appropriate time.
Because of his character, you can tell when he
great-
plays,
great
he's a hard-nosed player. If he's got to go in, he goes in 100%.
Yeah.
As tough
If
as
he's gonna
nails
get
like
there,
that.
he's gonna go there. So he's like a blue-collar worker, and he shows up
Correct.
on time, and he's
Right place
always
at the right time.
Yeah.
One opportunity
And that's all
during
he
the
needs.
90 minutes, it's a goal.
No, he's
Yeah.
a beast,
Put it in.
and it's funny to see like what kind of players fans appreciate, because a few years ago it was like 2 years ago, let's sell Mandzukic.
Yeah, because he's
he
not
doesn't
a
have the
big
flair.
name and doesn't have the flair.
Correct.
But he's
Like you said, he's one of the most important.
But look where he's played.
He is.
Yeah.
Bayern Munich, Atletico Madrid. These are all teams that go far in the Champions League. He understands what it is to win. And that's what I keep on saying about Inter, how we don't have the players that know how to win. But this can be said also for Napoli. It can be said for a lot of different teams where Juventus, all these players that they get, have won elsewhere.
It also shows a relationship with Allegri too, with the players. I mean, if he's willing to switch for a center forward to a left wing,
Some
and had
players,
a great
though.
Season,
Some players buy
That's
into
true.
it, and some players not. It goes down to the
And
character.
we were
of the
talking
players.
about leadership before. Look at this team. How many leaders
forget it.
are on Juventus?
They have a leader for each spot.
And the great thing about Allegri, and that's I think where he is masterful, is he knows how to put them all of them together to keep them all of them happy and to get the best out of each one except one.
Yep.
Which
That's-
probably we'll talk about.
This is
But
this
it's,
is what I
in
was
the,
going to bring up.
it's also in the
But-
it's also in the Juventus.
Yes.
It's in the club DNA. Once you arrive in Torino, once you arrive in that club, you're ready.
Okay.
It's an organization.
I
it's
understand
an organization
that, but
point
the
of
coach
view.
is very important, and Allegri is
He handles
is-
situations
He's
well.
very good because there's been coaches and I mentioned just one, Del Neri.
That's what I was thinking of.
The guy, he was a Juventus, but I mean, come on. So the coach is very important,
So
and
he's
I
not
think that the Allegri, out of the coach, is very, very good at keeping everybody together, and he's very smart. Everything that he says in the interview before and after, everything is calculated and everything is very smart what he says.
To coach a great club in Europe as a whole, today's coaches, you have to be first a great communicator, because it's not like the old days where you had 11 players, 11 starters, and then you had 5, 6 on the bench that maybe would play 1, 2 games a year. Now you have to manage 26, 27 players, and more or less they're all at the same level. So you need to be a great communicator
and make them all happy at the same
make
time.
them all happy. You have to be
Direct,
straightforward with them. You cannot
transparent,
say
yeah.
A today and then go to somebody else and say B, or hide behind the microphone like Spalletti does.
Antonio's here. We're not liking Antonio.
Spalletti is one of those coaches that blames everything. That blames everything around except
Himself?
right. I mean, I've coached youth soccer for many years, and I had to deal with parents where they would, let's say, I would coach their sons, and they would say, "Oh, my son today did not play well because the shoes were tight, because the sun was out, it was too hot, it was too cold, it was too humid,
And what do
the
you say to
turf
these
was not
parents?
good enough, the uniform was too tight." I mean, every little excuse
heard it all.
they would find in order to.
What do you say to these parents, Ludovico? I'm curious.
There's nothing you can say. There's nothing you can.
What do you say in your mind?
Better left unsaid.
This
Anyway,
video's gonna get taken down if we say his thoughts.
the exception, right? We saw Ronaldo after he scored. He did the Dybala mask. He, we saw the week prior, Allegri did not sub in Dybala after all 3 substitutions were used, and Dybala walked himself inside the locker room. I think that when you see a Juventus, it's hit straight on. they said that Dybala apologized to the entire team, that he was upset, blah, 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 blah. Dybala did not start. He said that one of Dybala or Bernardeschi was going to start. Number one, the symbolism, I think, from Ronaldo, who we're talking about leadership and the leadership of the entire team, to when he celebrates, incorporate Dybala, who we know is going through a tough time, I think says a lot about Ronaldo, it says a lot about Dybala, and it says a lot about the organization as a whole. And I thought it was a very unique moment that could go missed if you really didn't know what was happening. You know, a lot of people see this, they say, oh, he was doing Dybala for something, you know? But I think it has a lot to say about what really happened and where Dybala's place is. And to show Dybala, listen, you might not be you're on the bench right now. The papers are talking about you. The papers say you can't work with me. The papers say we don't play well together. But listen, I'm still with you, right? So I thought it was a great moment. I think that the entire team also went over. They pointed to Dybala, who was on the bench. And as far as Dybala's position, when he came in, he did his job. They played the third goal from Juventus was set up by Dybala and set up by Ronaldo, where I think it was Emre Can who finished it off. So yes, we talk about this, you know, where does he fit? And I think that that's one very important question that we've talked about for a long time. But what do you guys think?
Well, I feel Mandzukic brings the best out of Ronaldo, and Mandzukic is very important in the overall balance of the team,
squad, yeah,
of the squad. I personally think if Juventus will get a decent offer for Dybala, I think Juventus will sell him in
What's
the
a
summer.
decent offer for you?
What Dybala might... If you worth now, maybe around 50, 60.
That's
low. That's
You
low.
can get the Shilio.
Maybe 130,
Yeah, I
140
was thinking
million
that
at least.
too.
But anyway, talking about talking about Dybala itself. What do you think?
Well, I mean, Mandzukic works well with everybody. It's not only Ronaldo. He worked well with Higuain. I mean, the guy is good with everybody. But one of the players that has not connected with Ronaldo is Dybala. I mean, the guy, that without a doubt, is talented. I mean, he has a lot of talent. But I don't think that with Allegri they speak the same language. So Allegri would like him to be at a certain position, but Dybala is one of those players. He's not a center forward. He's not a midfielder. He's somewhere in between.
He plays between the lines.
Between the lines there. He likes that freedom, you know, that he can go anywhere he wants. He's got the talent, but when you play at that level and you play in Champions League, you need everybody to attack and you need everybody to defend. When you lose the ball, you have to defend with 11 players. And when you attack, so Dybala is in between that, and I'm hoping that at the end of the summer, that there is a way that they can work out, him and Allegri can work out, but after it's already happened twice in front of everybody. One time he didn't shake his hand, to Allegri, now he did this, he walked out, he apologized both times. I don't know if he apologized, but they said that he apologized. So unless they can work together, then you never know what happens by the end of the season, because Juventus has got a lot of pressure. They have to go to the final again in the Champions League. Otherwise, it's a failure.
Minimum, right?
Yeah. So something could happen by the end of the season, but the kid has got talent.
And also depends who the coach would be at the end of the season,
Right.
which
Right.
is to be determined.
Yeah. Right.
But as far as just to take a little bit of a deeper approach, as far as Ronaldo going and doing his celebration and pointing to him, do you think
No, Ronaldo
has anything to do with that?
Yes, of course. Ronaldo is a team player. He's there to win. He doesn't care about anything else other than win. He will do everything to win. Whether you're his friend or you're his enemy, it doesn't matter. On the field, you're a team. And the guy works on his days off. He goes to the gym and he works out. He didn't play for the national team to get ready for Serie A. And when the player said, "Oh, he's not going to score any goals in Serie A," the guy's already scored 20 goals. 18 in Serie A, 1 in Champions League, and 1 in Supercoppa. So the guy wants to win. When he goes on the field, that's all he thinks about. So I think there was support for Dybala to try to get him out and try to get him as a starter. he probably, I'm not sure about this Champions League. Maybe he's going to start because in Champions League, I think he scored 5 goals.
Yeah,
Dybala,
he
right?
scored 3 against
The
Young
hat-trick,
Boys.
He scored 3 against. I think he's got 5 goals in Champions League. Who knows?
He does have 5 in Champions League.
Maybe Allegri is going to throw him in there. If he doesn't,
He scored against Young Boys.
okay,
3 goals.
But he's
still.
but he's
Scored.
played but he's played okay without taking anything away from Frosinone and from
That's true.
and from the other teams, because Frosinone, Chievo. I mean, if you cannot score, you cannot score.
Yeah.
That's
No
true,
matter
that's
who
true.
you played
need
against,
confidence.
if you got a mental block, that's how the center forwards and the forwards are. Sometimes you have a mental block, and you could be who was in front of the net. I mean, with the open net. And he kicked the ball out Sunday. I don't remember. I mean,
Milik?
it was the whole
Wasn't down.
the whole goal was open. He tapped it and the ball went out. So sometimes
I
sometimes that happens.
I personally feel that, okay, we're talking about Dybala. You guys discussed 130, 140 million
At least.
Okay.
At least.
Now, here's a player that is what, 24 years old?
Yeah, 24,
Okay.
25.
So now you're
25.
24, 25. If you are a great player, not an average player, you are above everybody else, you have to make a statement on the field. And if a player at this age, worth this kind of money, cannot find a starting spot on the team, then you're not the great player that everybody thinks you are.
Ludo, I don't
And
want to.
I hope you
Ludo,
understand what I'm trying to say. You're 24 years old. If you're the outstanding talent that everybody talks about,
No,
like that, you cannot.
I understand what you're saying.
one
But
second.
you have to be able to be a starter.
Marco has
The
something
thing
stern
is,
over here.
I agree with you, but I think you're seeing it in a different world than the reality of today. Because today, the transfer fee is not made up. I know we like to argue this all the time, but the transfer fee is not made up of just what you do on the field. I was trying to look up quickly who the defender was that Barcelona signed for 80 million. A defender that we never heard of from Ajax. Right?
So I agree.
the price-
Financially, this
I
thing's
mean,
going on. Lucas Turaro sold to Genoa 80 million
No.
euro.
But
A
no,
player
that's
that never
different.
played for 1 minute. Preziosi would have never paid 18 million for a player that hasn't stepped on the field for 1 minute.
We see Coutinho. We see so many players who go for over 100 million that are not worth that on the field. But what they bring off the field, and Dybala brings a lot off the field. He's one of the most marketable players right now. If you look at the top, he's one of the top. He's Adidas's golden boy. Everything they do is with Dybala because he's got a lot of show to him. Kids love him. They have boots of him. They have all this stuff.
They sell
so
shirts.
that has to be accounted for in the transfer price.
I
because,
agree.
Because of 2019's football, not the football that I like.
But I agree. But now, if you're okay, but now you also have to show something on the. You have to show something also on the field.
Come
So
on,
if
he
you're
showed
a
something.
great player, if you're an exceptional player, then you would start
But
on
what-
a team.
Do you
What
know?
if it's
Do you
just
know
a route
Dembele?
right now?
Do you know Dembele from Barcelona?
Yes, of course.
What do you think he's worth?
Well, he was sold for 110
Oh,
million.
yep. How much do you think he's worth though? Compared to
I think it's worth
from
not
what-
even a quarter of that. But again, now we're talking the financial side. We're talking about teams that have to somehow a budget, that have to balance a budget.
Yeah, but-
also in today's markets, the way they do it now. Okay, I'm buying a player today, just like Milan. Milan could not have purchased the player from Genoa and the player from PAQUETA. But now that money is not going to the 2018-19 budget. It's going to go to next year. It's going to be
Yeah.
over the
No, I
next
get that.
3-4 years.
But still, from what Dembele proved at Borussia Dortmund, compared to what Dybala's proved at Juventus, if Dembele in this market, because the market is the market.
Yeah.
We could argue our price, but the market is the market. If Dembele goes for 110 million, at least Dybala has to go for 140, 150 million. Not based off just what he's done, because he has performed, maybe not worth that. But, if we take a big perspective, Ronaldo was the biggest transfer when he was 94 million. But today, 94 million doesn't even get you
I
a
just
Barcelona
don't think
defender
Real
from
Madrid,
Ajax.
Bayern Munich, these teams will pay 130, 140 with for someone like for Dybala. I just don't think they
We'll
will.
see, yeah.
They will invest that kind.
I understand what you mean.
That kind of money for this type of player.
Pulisic just went for what? Almost 70 million, right?
73.
Something that we talked about.
Well, that I did not
See,
agree
the
at
thing
all.
is, we read on the papers, or we read, okay, that player was sold for 70 million, but we don't know the technicalities underneath the contract, the 568-page contract of signing a player and how that money is split, divided. One money goes where?
Yeah,
one
that's
money
fair.
goes to this holding. One money goes to this.
Yeah.
And it's split into different. That it has to show certain things at the
End of the fiscal year.
or the next 5 years.
Yeah.
So we don't know what really is happening underneath.
No, I don't think it's worth 150 million, but you could probably sell him
80.
for 100 million. I think you could sell it. I could see him if he goes to a team like Real Madrid and he has a coach that believes in you and he say, hey, you my man, you my player.
You build a team,
Right.
a project,
You
and
play
a team
there
around it.
and you give him ci dai fiducia, you trust, and you say, hey, this is your area, this is where you're going to play. I mean,
I'm going to build.
yeah. I mean, the guy knows how to score.
No, without a doubt.
He knows how to score. I mean, last year, the first 10 games, he had he scored a lot of goals. And now all of a sudden he can't score a goal anymore.
We'll see. This season is long.
So there's something.
I think we were saying about his whole relationship with Allegri. Allegri has these fixed roles.
Yeah.
Maybe he needs a coach where gives him the freedom, and then that's where you're really going to see him.
But even in Argentina,
explode.
I think we've seen a little bit.
But Argentina had different problems.
Yeah.
I think
Fair
Sao
enough,
Paulo
fair
was
enough.
just
Well, in
crazy, and Messi
Argentina,
is the god.
the coach said you can't play with Messi. So that was another,
Fair enough.
another issue.
Anyway, speaking about teams that have spent a lot of money, AC Milan, the January market, they spent more than anyone, 70 million, more than any other European team. But it seems like it's proved worth it,
Paying
right?
off, right?
We speak a lot about transfer fees, but at the end of the day, if the player performs, the player scores you goals, the player
You
performs,
can't say anything.
it's worth it. It's better spending 70 million on guys that give you something in return than spend 30 on some guy that does nothing for you.
Hey, but we just talked about how the market prices now are inflated. You just bought
Look at that with 45
Piontek
million.
but Piontek, it was a steal
35.
at 35 plus bonus. It was a steal
It
Yeah,
looks
35
like
for
40.
a play.
a few games in, it looks like it.
If you've seen him play with Genoa this year, I mean, if it's a one-hit wonder, I would be very surprised
It's not
because
even
that
one
guy
season,
is amazing for his body type,
Yeah.
his speed, his
He is,
hungry,
he is.
No,
the
he's
hungriness
good.
in front of goal.
Yep.
This whole season has proved
I would
something.
wait
Of course,
before-
yeah,
Right.
No, I understand that, but just the matter of how he's been scoring, it's not like it doesn't look
No,
it doesn't
it's
look like a
not
fluke.
fluke. Yeah, I
it
get
doesn't
but
look
it's
like a
not-
fluke.
It's
But Belotti
just
didn't either, though.
it's just the beginning. Look at that player from Roma.
Yeah.
Under, yeah.
yeah.
The
Chic,
first
yeah.
7-8 games. Oh my God! Look at this player.
He's
Great
so
player.
young, though.
Even Clivert.
Here we
Very
go.
young.
He's young again, but again, you have to show that
Consistently, yes,
Okay,
yeah.
I
Yeah.
get that, yeah.
the way
I
how do
agree
we
with
say
you.
in Italy, Gaetano, if a good horse has good legs, you see him going up the hill. That's when you see. So basically,
best saying.
when the
In,
times
in
get
Sicily, they got the donkeys.
when things gonna get tough, that's when the player should come out, and that's
When
when
they
we're gonna see in the long run.
I 100%
We're gonna see if this money, this 70 million spent for these two players,
If it's worth it.
it's too early, right? now. You have
100%.
that-
I agree with you. I'm just saying at the base of it, where the conversation is right now,
What it looks
today,
like.
they won 3-0 against Cagliari. A very important match. Again, keeping that distance with after an Inter win, keeping that distance for the Champions League spot, securing that fourth spot. Where Gattuso, things are finally going so well. And again, he's another one. Gattuso is another one that I always laugh at because there's a lot of people in the comments that say, at the beginning of the season, Ludo, we all sat here with Antonio here. And I think one of the criticisms we said that Milan should have gone a better coach, right? We didn't really believe in Gattuso, all of us here. And Antonio was the one who said, this Gattuso knows what to do. He knows how to get the best out of
He
this
has a
team.
locker room.
He's going to be able to do.
Yeah.
And again, we're talking early because
Right. Then Higuain came.
then the Higuain game. And things didn't go so well. But anyway, there's a lot of
No,
ifs
but
and
now,
buts.
like we were
They're
talking
playing
about
well.
this before, Marco. I said before, if Higuain would have left Milan the week before the Super Cup, Milan could have won that game. Milan would have won that game. If Higuain would have been gone
I guess we never
Bold
know.
statement.
before, we'll never know. But based on what's been happening since Higuain left, the locker room is united. Everyone giving 150%. Nothing's coming out of the locker room anymore. Gattuso, everybody follows Gattuso. Everybody likes it. The team is playing. The team is performing. The team is winning. The team can very well win the Coppa Italia.
No, I think that this Milan, like you said, the Higuain, as much as I'm a fan of Higuain because I like great strikers and I think he's a very good striker, not world class, but a very good striker. He was very negative at AC Milan.
Yes,
I think that we've seen him a lot of times. He doesn't get the ball and he starts screaming or he misses a shot. And I understand that a lot of big players do that, but I think that he was also bringing that negativity towards the locker room and towards his players, and not really that good kind of I'm mad that I didn't score, more of the depressing kind. And I think that PIATEK, on the other hand, has been a player like you just said, Peter, and like we've been saying, he's got this hunger in his eyes.
Correct.
That's unbelievable. I mean, I was watching an interview of him. These two Polish guys on YouTube. I wish I knew the channel so I could say it, but these two Polish guys who've been following PIATEK for a long time, they were in Milano, and they said, listen, we knew this guy PIATEK, but nobody thought that he could ever come to Italy and do this. And even PIATEK himself said, I was in Genoa. I knew that, I wanted to score. And I told myself, if I scored, I think he said 12 goals the entire season, I would have been so happy. So things work out in interesting ways, but he's got the attitude that does well by Milan. He's young. He's hungry. He's a goal scorer. He's got that eye for goal. And now,
that's the style of Gattuso's coaching.
When everything's going in the right way, it makes a lot of things a lot easier. Same thing for PAQUETA.
Yeah,
But Gattuso knows his fate is based on the fourth spot.
I think once you arrive in a big team like that,
Playing at San Siro,
you see it right away. I mean, the impression that he gave me, the first ball that he touched, it was a long ball. He put it down.
Like
he almost
nothing,
went
right?
inside. He took a shot. I mean, some players, they get to that level and they do very well with a team that is in the middle of the where they don't have a lot of pressure, and you get all the balls they given to you. Then you get to a big team and all of a sudden you have to share with this guy, that guy, and you don't perform. So I saw the PIATEK that he did very well from the beginning. As far as the locker rooms, if something comes out of the locker room, Gattuso will stab you.
You said that's serious.
That's right.
So no.
He's right.
If you read the book of
Pirlo.
Pirlo, I mean, you know what I'm talking
right?
about. And the other thing is, and I have talked this with Paolo Maldini, and that locker room is for the players, and it's sacred. Nothing comes out of the locker room. He told me that when a new player used to come into the locker room, Maldini used to grab him by the hand, and he used to show them everything and how to behave. He says some of these players, they even had, when they came in with the wrong, they even show what clothes, everything. You are part of a team. You are part of a sacred locker room. Nothing comes out of the locker room. And Maldini has a lot to do with it because he was there.
He knows.
He knows, and he's a leader.
He lives
so
there.
even though he's not in the locker room, believe me, at halftime, if you don't see him in the stands, he's inside the locker room. Okay, that I'm sure.
Yeah.
The other thing about Milan is
Good point.
Cutrone. What do you do with Cutrone? I feel like this
forgot about him
kid, he has the potential. He could go in the national team, but the way Gattuso plays, every coach has got their style, and I feel like he wants to play with one guy up there, and then he has Suso on one side and Calhanoglu. I can never pronounce Calhanoglu. I can never pronounce his name. On the other side, and that's his style. And where does Cutrone fits in? Does he fit in, or does he fit in only the last 20 minutes, in the last half hour? I feel kind of bad for Cutrone, but
Same here.
I don't know if he's going to hang in there, or at the end of the season he might say, "Listen, there's no space here for
I
me."
think it all depends, Gaetano, what's going to happen with Milan. If Milan reaches the fourth place, reaches Champions League, and that's what I think is going to determine whether Gattuso stays or goes. Basically, finishing.
That's 100%.
fourth.
That's
Yeah.
100%. And
Because
he
then
needs
you
it.
go to Europa League or you finish fifth, and you go to Europa League. Basically, you want to restart. You want to get a new coach. You want to start a new cycle. But going back to what you were saying before, yes, I agree about the locker rooms. 60%. The old days. Now it's on social media.
That's true.
You have these players. They get home. Their husbands or their boyfriends, their companions, they're sad. The wives, they go on social media. Oh, my husband didn't start. why the coach or she puts a like on a fan's comment saying, "Oh, you didn't start Peter."
Did you hear what Zielinski did? Where everybody was mad at Zielinski because he liked a comment that said, "By the time Ancelotti gets sacked, it's going to be too late."
Yeah.
So this is just to give
Correct.
credit to what
now
Ludovico was
social
saying.
media. It's not
it's
back
true.
then. Even look what happened between Wandanara and Lopez and Icardi. The divorce and everything happened on social media. So now this is the wives are getting involved, the girlfriends are getting involved in the decisions, and they comment and they post right away.
Yeah, well,
it happened even with Pepe Reina
Yeah.
in Napoli at the Christmas party. That he had a little conversation with a private conversation with De Laurentiis. Reina's wife overheard the conversation. She went home, boom, she commented on Instagram.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
About the contract that it was not going to be renewed.
Douglas Costa got in big trouble this week because he liked a post linking him to Manchester United, and then he unliked it. And I think some of those, there's not too much truth in it, because I know even for ourselves, sometimes you just see a picture, you don't really read the caption, and you just like it, and you don't. But there's a lot of players who get in trouble for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
You're right. But I think that, to your point, I think it's a great point about Maldini, and I think it's something that we've always said with this Milan ownership, which made me feel fishy at the moment, was when Maldini was saying, "I'm not going to go." Once your legend or Maldini, or they don't want to call Maldini to go, I always thought it's very, very fishy. Inter, they got Zanetti, that's there. Juventus, Nedved, Maldini at over there, and Totti at Roma. I think that it's very important. You might say that they're showmans, that they don't really do something, but it's very. I think it's key to setting the atmosphere.
Yeah, it's the
personally.
presence.
And Gattuso's inside. Yeah.
He had to go through a lot of things. I mean, at the beginning of the season, he didn't know who the owners were. Milan sold. Milan not sold. This
Europa
guy purchased.
League.
This guy. It was a lot. Now you finally have an owner. You finally have a club that's basically stabilized. You hired Leonardo. You hired Maldini. Now everyone can take a deep breath and relax, and things are starting to move forward.
Great
But
point.
For a few months, nobody knew what's happening in that club. Who was the owner? Who was calling the shots? Who was? Gattuso didn't know which.
It was a mess.
He didn't know what to do. It was a mess. As a club a whole, in general, it was a mess. Now at least everything comes out. I wish him the best. He deserves it. He's a great guy.
And one last thing about Milan before we move on, if you're ready to move on. Donnarumma.
I was going to bring that up.
Donnarumma is playing unbelievable right now.
Especially against Napoli, always.
Man, you can't score on this guy.
He's really turning into a leader back there. Yeah.
But the crazy thing
He's
is
19.
for his height,
So crazy.
the way he gets down, and he can make a save like right here, which is like
Guys, 150 appearances for AC Milan at 19 years old.
Wow. Yeah.
It's truly something special. He got criticized a lot. Was it this past summer or the summer prior? The summer prior, I believe.
yeah.
Everybody was mad about the
Stuff.
contracts and all this stuff. But at the end of the day,
If he
the
performs,
kid is
that's,
performing.
yeah.
Yeah.
And since 16 years old, he's been playing at AC Milan. And as a goalkeeper, usually the goalkeepers, you say they develop a little bit later because there's a lot of maturity that's involved. And one of the criticisms, because I know right now the question that we're always asked is Perin, is Meret, is all these guys, who should be the starter for Italy. And I think that Donnarumma, number one, has the most experience. And number two, the thing that I really love about Donnarumma is that he's got a great presence about himself. Like Peter said, he's a big guy, but he's not just tall. He's also physically strong. He comes up for these balls. He does not let anybody behind him. To me, Perin and Meret, they're more shot savers. They're really good with their reflexes. They get the ball out, but sometimes they put the ball in a dangerous area where Donnarumma knows how to control the ball a little bit.
Donnarumma is more
a little bit better.
explosive, I think. Meret is more technical. But Perin disappointed me.
Very, very much so.
Perin was a big disappointment to me because when he went to Juventus...
Yeah, but he's not playing for a reason.
Right. Well, he went to Juventus. He was already in the Italian national team, basically, to have a spot on the national team, and you accept a backup role in
that's
Juventus.
what I think. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, but
That's what it
Szczesny
was.
did the same thing when Buffon was
Szczesny
there.
was there for a
Well,
while.
I think but Buffon, Chesney, but he was promised.
Yeah.
A word is a word, and Juventus is a club, is a type of club like Gaetano was saying before. Listen, Buffon, you're going to stay one more year. After this year,
Szczesny's going to take over.
Chesney will take over. You can make 3 million saves. You could go scoreless for 34 games.
But at the end of the season,
At the end of the season, this is what we decided. This is what was decided, and this is what's going to happen.
to me, Pedin is simply not good enough for a starter at a big club. I think that he lacks personality from every time I've seen him, and I know it's a little bit early to judge, but even from my perspective, from when he's played at Juventus, I think that he lacks the character that. And if we're talking about the starting national team goalkeeper of Italy, there's absolutely no doubt in the world with the players that are here right now. If we're not talking about Buffon, it's Donnarumma. It's not even close. I don't think that there's an argument to say that Meret should be starting over him, Pedin should be starting over him, because I don't think any of them are close to good enough to where Donnarumma is.
I would have this discussion a year from now.
Okay,
It's too early.
fair enough.
Because Meret was injured.
Fair enough.
He started to play on a regular basis for Napoli back in November. It's only been 2 months. He's done exceptionally well
He has.
in Napoli. And I would 1 year with no injuries, let's hope. Then a year from now, then we'll see.
If we're talking about at the moment,
At the moment,
currently,
absolutely.
currently.
I agree 1,000.
Talking
I
about
agree
who's
1,000%,
called up for
yes.
March, I
Yes.
think that it's very clear.
But as far as the net, Italy, for the future, I think whether it's Meret or Donnarumma, Italy's net is
Good
pretty
hands.
much.
I know we got Cragno, we got a lot of good goalkeepers.
We have talented goalkeepers,
Yeah,
defense, and forwards.
yeah. Doesn't look so good. But anyway, I think we covered everything. I wanted to bring up that Donnarumma that you were gonna say real quick. Right now was not a good week for former and current coaches of Napoli. There was another way that I was going to bring this up. I don't remember. We're talking about, what we were talking about? We were talking about, you were saying how a coach back in the day didn't have to really speak to his players. You know how they had to, you said that they have to have 11 players, not 23. And I think that that's one thing that Sarri lacks. I mean, it's one feeling that I've always gotten is that he's not a good communicator to his players and even to the media. I mean, what happened, we got to talk about it. 6-0 against Manchester City. Very, very poor display.
Well, there's one way. The way a coach communicates in an Italian locker room is completely different than how a coach communicates in an English or in another country's
But
locker room.
we've had a
That would
lot
be
of
for
coaches
every coach.
abroad, though. But even Conte, I've never seen. I think that the way that Sarri went about that was a little bit difficult, a little bit strange. And if we see what his players went out and on display, 6-0, I mean, is that really, not to say it's not a fair scoreline to take it away, but the demoralization of the players out there, when you hear from Chelsea fans and there's split. Some are blaming Sarri and say, Sarri, this is your fault. The guys are not going out there. They're not hungry. And the other side says, there's a lot of problems at the club.
I think you already found a team that was that had a low self-esteem at Chelsea at the beginning of the season.
But he was doing so well, and now it's like, why is there such a big dip? I think it's the big problem.
The dip can also be because Sarri's team, usually they start very strong in the summer/fall, where they go everything about 150 miles an hour. And then during the winter, the couple of months in the winter, January and February, they collapse. And then they finish strong in the spring. But he has a couple of players that do not want to be there, that maybe do not agree on his style of play. And remember, Sarri has only one style of play. That's the 4-4-3. He won't make changes according to his opponent like an Ancelotti would. Even though in today's Napoli games, I see a lot of Sarri because these players they know each other.
I mean the 4-3-3.
Right. No,
4-3-3.
the way they play, the way they see, the way the players, the way they communicate with each other on the field, the passing.
No, I
is-
said the 4-3-3. You said
It's a
4-4-3.
4-4-3.
No, with
4-3-3. Oh, okay,
4-3-3
okay.
compared to the 4-4-2
I
that Ancelotti is doing now. But I don't think he's going to get sacked at the end of the season. It's just that Sarri needs to know now, okay, who wants to leave? You want to leave? You guys want to leave? Now I need to find some players that will marry my course and my style of playing.
You don't think it depends on the position where they end up? So if they finish 5th or 6th, he'll still stay?
Yes, I think so.
What do you
I
think?
think
What do you think about
he
the
will stay.
situation at Chelsea right now with Sarri?
I think he will stay.
I mean, I haven't followed really because I follow the Italian football TV. I haven't followed them very close. I don't know the inside. I don't know what's going on the inside. But like you said, I think there are a few players that maybe they want to leave, and you have to decide. Hey, if you want to leave, just go ahead and leave, and then let me get my players and let me do my style. Will he have the time to do that? I'm not sure, because there's Abramovich is known for letting coaches go, and I think he's playing 3 coaches right now. I don't know how much. I think he's still playing Conte. He's is money an issue with him with the coaches? I don't think so. I mean, right now, when he looked like in the beginning he was going to be a solid 3rd or 4th place, I think now he's in 6th place.
Yeah. Pushing for Champions League spot.
Yeah, I think if the championship, the Champions League slips out, I don't know. I don't know if he's gonna be around.
Is he going to be around to see the end of the season?
He has some great players. I mean, some of those players. Hazard is phenomenal.
Conte, Jorginho.
Conte.
But none of them were performing.
Hazard already wanted to leave last year.
Yeah. Willian is a great player. Pedro. I mean, he's got so many great players. Mm-hmm. But they have to decide
who wants to stay, who wants to go.
Yeah.
I think that's the important thing in the locker room.
Hazard stayed 1 year because Mertens convinced him. Mertens convinced Hazard, give this guy a chance. Give Sarri a chance. Stay 1 year. Believe me, he will turn you to a better player. He will make you. And Hazard said, okay, I'll give him. But now he wants to.
Yeah, Real Madrid is asking.
But now, did Chelsea receive an official offer from Real Madrid? We don't.
I mean, you know that Real Madrid at the end of the season they're going to spend a lot of money because it's not. They always need to be first in the Liga, and they have to be in the Champions League. So once one of that is not accomplished, they go crazy.
You know what I found funny is, and then Peter comment, because I know you had to say something. I find it always funny, the reaction, especially from the English media and the media in general, because I think it was Jamie Carragher went on TV and he said that Sarri is turning Chelsea into Arsenal, into where Arsenal are. This is what he said. And I find it very funny because Sarri, he's very similar in the type of football that Guardiola and Klopp like to play. But if you look at the perspectives of what Guardiola's team did the first year, I mean, Guardiola's the amount of money that Manchester City has spent, we were adding it up, me, Peter, and Michael before. It's unbelievable how much he spent. I won't pull it up now, but it's incredible. I mean, I remember he made them pay 60 or 70 million for a goalkeeper because his goalkeeper couldn't play with his feet. So he has the luxury to do that. But in the first year, he also didn't win the league. He also didn't perform. Klopp, he's been at Liverpool for 3-4 years now. He's also, everybody will fame him for playing great football, but what have you really won? So I think that if you want to take one of the perspectives, you have to give Sarri time then too.
Yes, I agree.
Because I think that it's a little bit ridiculous that they're asking for a sacking now when you've given Klopp and Guardiola all the keys to fail. And then when Conte comes in and wins, Conte won his first season with almost the same players as the prior year. Then the next year he's already gone because he wasn't performing. So to me, there's a little bit of I don't know what it is, what the word.
Well, it's called Abramovich. It's the owner.
But I think I'm saying in general, the perception is a little bit flustered.
But
Chelsea fans, after Conte wins, he won you a season in the first year. You got to give the guy a little bit of time too. So balance.
But
What were we going to say, Peter?
It's the club, but Chelsea is known for this. A lot of the players, the managers that go there, they win the first year, and the second year, the players, for some strange reason, do not show up and do not respond a certain way, and they kind of take a year off. It's a lot of times, it's like a showing of how, whether it's Ancelotti that 1 year, his first year he wins, and then the next year he doesn't win anything and they send them away. Or Mourinho also comes in, and then the next year he doesn't, he gets sacked also. So, I mean, it's just Chelsea, for some reason, the players, they don't respond. And Abramovich, being that, he doesn't care if the team plays well or has a certain style of football. He just wants to win.
Yeah.
Okay. He has that Italian type of mentality. And I don't
That's what Conte
know.
was.
What's so weird is Sarri was doing so good in the beginning.
Everyone was talking about,
And I do
winning the
not
Premier
understand
League.
what happened. Something happened, and he's just, if it's a communication thing or the player's not responding.
Maybe a Mercato thing. Maybe that he wanted someone.
He wouldn't
I
even
don't
shake
know. I don't
Guardiola's
know.
hand.
I don't
Communication, he
know.
has Zola
I
to
don't know.
communicate.
Yeah.
The guy cannot speak. The guy cannot speak English. That's why they got Zola.
No, I think he
in
picked it
order
up pretty
to
well.
be
A little bit.
well, but not to have
When
a
he went off on that
full-blown
rant, he said it in
conversation the
Italian
locker
for a
room.
reason.
Yeah.
Correct.
So I don't know, but I feel bad because I really enjoy watching Sarri and what he did with Napoli, and I thought with the players that Chelsea have, he would have been able to do really big things. It's just not working out for him.
Even when Napoli, remember the team that he inherited in Napoli, that was Benitez
Oh yeah,
team.
yeah.
That was Benitez team.
And he had to
so
mold
the
them.
ingredients, basically he created a great dish of pasta with the ingredients purchased by Benitez. He was able to create that mix for 3 years. But now I think in Chelsea at the moment, the club has to get involved and say, okay, now the next season starts now. Who wants to go? Who's not happy? Sarri, who can we get next season that will marry your cause, that will marry your style of play? And now you start you start planning for next season as of now. Hazard wants to go. Okay, but who wants him? Where's the official offer? That he's
I
planning
think
to,
that Chelsea have a deeper problem. You want to look at, they had Mourinho, they've had Hiddink, right? Hiddink ran back. They've had Conte, they've had Sarri. Those are 4 incredible coaches, great coaches who have won at a lot of places. That variable has changed how many times? The one variable that's not is the club. There's so much talk about their board not doing the proper things, being too quick to judge, being all this and that. So I think that there's an opportunity right now for Abramovich to say, listen, I tried with Mourinho, I thought maybe it was a coach. I tried with Conte, I thought it was a coach. Now, maybe this time it's not the coach that's the problem. Maybe it's something internal that's a problem. And I know that they have a system where it's very different from other European teams. Don't quote me on it, but I think that they don't have a director or a real sporting director like most of the teams have, and a lot of the calls are coming from different places. Anyway, to move on.
But look at also Real Madrid to open a look at the coach of Real Madrid now. Solari. He benched 3-4 players that basically he says, okay, these guys they're not giving 150%, they're not playing. He put them aside, and now he's starting those players that give him what he's really looking for. The guy has nothing to lose. Listen, you sack me, but until you sack, I'm going to do it my way.
Yeah, well said. Aaron Ramsey officially signed for Juventus today. They did a pre-agreement. They announced the transfer. He'll be moving to Juventus on a free transfer in June, July 1st. There's been a lot of talk about his contract. There's been wrong reports too, by the way, because Italy often reports after taxes, and I know other countries do it a little bit differently. Yeah. They do it before, but he's going to be making $7.5 million a season. And again, just to rebut, I know a lot of people are saying $7.5 million is way too much, but when you do a free transfer, usually the salary is up a little bit, and also Juventus is a place where it's getting to that level where everybody's almost around that same number, or at least going towards that same number. Whoever's making the renewals, it's going up and up and up. I think we've spoken that we don't really know Ramsey. We don't know what he can add. We don't know if he can solve the midfield problems. From what we've heard, he's an injury-prone player. He's a player who's not really going to make the difference. Can we say if he will? If anyone here knows about Ramsey, you could speak up, but if we don't, right?
Heard he gets injured a lot, but that's all I know.
Ludovico, you know anything about
him? When he
him?
gets injured, Khedira also gets injured. Gets injured a lot.
If we're getting another Khedira, it's not a good thing.
Well, you have to see how he will play playing in England and playing in the Italian Serie A is completely different. You have to give him time to adapt to a new championship, a different style of playing than England, where the game is more tactical, and you basically have to do what the coach tells you to do, because you're very it's a more tactical of a game and not the way it's usually played in England. So we have to see. But he's an average player. I mean, nothing out of the ordinary. a player that if he accepts his role in what Juventus wants to give him, free transfer, 7 million a year. I think Juventus can easily afford that without a
I'm not doubting that. The only thing that I've always said, just to reiterate, I think that if he's the guy brought in to solve the midfield problems, which there is a midfield problem, to me, off a hunch, I don't believe that's it. To be seen if he is, and to be seen if he's the only person that's brought in. Anyway, let's get a few questions in. We'll just hit a few because we hit a lot in this podcast. Jim Jesse has a question for you, Peter. He says, how would you change the main tactics at Inter? Mainly because I think that they play the ball back to the defense way too much. So how would you change the tactics at Inter? Do you think that they need to be changed?
I think you have to pick up the tempo. We have fast wingers, right? With Politano, Perisic, they're very crafty. So we have to be able to move the ball in a better rhythm. Moving back, sometimes it's necessary when the team, especially in Italy, where they close a lot of gaps and they remain tight in the defense. But, it's hard, Serie A, sometimes to break down the defense. But with the players that we have and the width and the way Spalletti really wants the team to play, you have to try to open up the play, look for the crosses, look for Icardi in the middle. But unfortunately, Inter also is missing one key component, which Nainggolan was supposed to fix, is that midfielder that's able to connect the midfield, the defense with the attack. And we don't have that crafty player as like the standard trequartista that can do something, The
creative.
So, the creativity for sure. So that also affects. Because when the game is tight like this, you have that one player that has the spark, and dribbles, make someone miss, even though in Italy they don't like that. They want you, 2 touches, that's it. Get that ball moving. But sometimes when you're in the last third, you need that burst of creativity that can open up a defense.
You're missing a Fabio Ruiz, in another words.
Yeah, you're missing like a Zaniolo.
You want a Zaniolo? I like a Zaniolo, unfortunately.
Ryan asks, should Juventus stick with Rugani as a future center back or try to find someone else like Delit, this guy from, I think he's from Ajax or something. As far as Juventus and the center backs, I think that in the summer they'll definitely need to fix their center back problem. If there was ever a wake-up call, it was, this past few weeks with Bonucci and Chiellini, the importance of them too.
Juventus is the oldest team in Serie A, by the way.
One of the oldest?
The oldest.
Okay.
Juventus?
Yeah, 34 years of age.
I think they're 28.
Average.
I thought it was 28. Anyway, I think that Rugani has never shown that he's capable to be a leader on his own. He's always shown great signs along with Bonucci and along with Chiellini, which is not enough. And I think that Juventus do need a defender with a lot of character. And to give the example of someone who did great business was Inter with Skriniar. I think that he's that type that you need, who has a strong character, who's not scared, where Rugani and Romagnoli and Skriniar, who don't get scared, where Rugani on the flip side, to me, has always shown that he's fearful in the moments where he's needed most.
Or maybe a Koulibaly and replacing Chiellini.
Yeah,
that won't happen. Right?
It won't happen.
I don't know.
Koulibaly is Napolitano.
I don't know.
He wants to tempt you with it. Last question from Vincenzo. He says, can PIATEK and PAQUETA become Milan's new SHEVCHENKO and KAKA?
Whoa, that's
That's a lot to
that's a lot to yeah.
I like dreaming.
What do you think?
Listen, I don't know too much about PAQUETA yet, but if I was AC Milan, I love PIATEK. I think this guy is the real thing. I could be mistaken, but I like the guy. I would get out this Canaloglu. I can never pronounce his name. Maybe he should go and put PAQUETA in his place, and I would have Suso on one side, PAQUETA on the other side, and Suso there, and I would get another midfielder.
Hello, Champions League, right, Gaetano?
Because right now on the 4-3-3, PAQUETA plays on the midfielders on the left side here. I will move him a little bit closer to here, get rid of this guy, and get another midfielder.
Okay. Interesting. I think we'll leave the rest. Let's do let's do Champions League predictions real quick, just of this week, and we'll do all the games. Why not? Roma against Porto. The game is in Rome. The match is tomorrow. Today, if you're watching, guys, Sheik is going to be out. Olsen most likely
Who decided?
out.
Mental coach?
Is that jokes today?
They don't see in. Everybody else is in except
the mental
Olsen
coach decided he can't play.
And Sheik. What's our prediction? Let's go around.
Ooh,
Pete, let's
This
You
is
start.
just
in
want to
Rome?
score?
Yeah, just score.
Yeah, you can
Final
give
score 0-0.
Is it in Rome or
Rome.
It's in Rome.
0-0.
0-0.
1-0 Roma? I think.
Yeah, I'm definitely think that De Francesco will have the team ready, and De Rossi is playing right.
Should be, yeah.
Yeah, if De Rossi, and I think De Francesco will have his team ready, and it's going to be a win.
I think that I don't know. I think it's difficult to say with Porto because they're one of the teams that I guess we don't get to see often on TV. So I don't know what to expect of them. But I know that they are a solid team, and they're a team that works hard and that works united. What Roma are we going to see? Are we going to see a Roma that doesn't show up, or are we going to see a Roma that shows up? I think that it's going to be a 1-1, a draw.
I'm going to go with you, Mark. I say 1-1. I think they're going to score, but they're going to concede a stupid away goal. But I think in Portugal, I think they're going to get some revenge.
Okay, let's do the other games. Manchester United against PSG. I've heard Neymar and Cavani are both not in this game. The match is in Manchester. Ludovico, we'll start off with you.
2-0 Manchester United.
Wow. Goal scorers? Anything? Pogba. He doesn't care. What do you think, Mike?
1-0 Man U.
I think that I'm going to go with a Man U win.
Yeah, I don't think Man U can lose a game. I mean, since this guy Schroeder came in, whatever.
Solskjaer.
I mean, I don't think they have lost a game. The guy, he can't lose. So they're going to win.
I think out of 11 games, they have 10 wins and 1 draw.
Yep.
Did they?
I think they have 1 draw.
I know
one
they
draw.
didn't lose. Yeah.
No, 11 games, I think it's 10 wins and 1 draw. And Pogba has been phenomenal.
Yeah.
That's, by the way, just to
Scored
give
more goals and
a touch, I watched Manchester United's last game. Every time I've watched Pogba play since he joined from Juventus, I never saw Pogba. I'm starting to see Pogba what we saw from Juventus. The guy goes up, the guy scores goals, he's attacking, and he's enjoying. He's playing with a smile on his face.
And he doesn't come back.
He doesn't come back. You're right.
But it's also his position is a little bit pushed.
Yes.
And this is what we were talking about before, about Dybala. And Pogba is a totally different player.
Yeah.
You change the coach, the guy's a totally different player.
Wow, good. So you say Manchester United win?
Yeah, they win.
I agree. They're
Win.
too hot right now,
Guys,
and they're playing at home.
How incredible would it be if PSG every year these guys spend so much money, they're begging, they look up, they pray that they could win a Champions League.
Billions. Wow.
So much. No other club. They go around FFP. They buy it from. They made a country buy Neymar so that they could try to win the Champions League. And right now they are risking a lot for Manchester United to go out. Mike, you said Verratti's injured. I don't know if it's true.
Yeah, they had a few injuries.
But if Verratti's injured, they're really screwed. Anyway, Tottenham against Borussia Dortmund is the game on Wednesday. Peter, we'll start with you.
I think Napoli tomorrow should have been against Manchester United, but
I like how you just include that.
Peter.
I think Borussia Dortmund's gonna win. Tottenham missing Harry Kane.
Yeah. And Dele Ali, I think, too.
Yeah,
I think Dele Ali is not in.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Okay, Dan.
Where they're playing?
It's in England.
I go for a tie.
Tie. Ludo?
which game are we talking about?
Borussia Dortmund versus Spurs?
Borussia Dortmund.
Dortmund win.
Yes.
I'm gonna go with a win for Tottenham. I know Dortmund's very hot, but I think that Tottenham's got the character to be able to beat them in London.
I think Dortmund 1-0. Win.
Okay. Last game, Ajax Real Madrid.
Oh, I should have wrote this down.
we got it. We Ajax Real Madrid. The game is in Holland. Real Madrid win.
2-0. 2-0.
I'm going with the tie. I'm going for Ajax.
Listen. I hope you're right, but what do you think?
Ajax isn't a bad team.
They're not a bad team.
I'll go with the tie.
There we go! I convinced him.
All right, you guys can have your moment, but we'll see what the final score goes.
See.
And let's do Europa League.
Write this down.
Europa League.
Write this down.
Rapid Vienna against Inter.
Oh, you want to talk about Juventus?
No,
No,
that's
next
next
week.
week.
Okay.
Yeah, let's talk
Peter
about
had it
Europa.
ready.
No, next week. Rapid Vienna against Inter.
0-1. Inter will win 1-0.
Okay.
2-0 Inter.
Yeah, I say win with Inter. I don't know the score, but it's gonna be an Inter win.
And is Icardi going to score?
Hopefully.
We gotta ask Wanda.
Oh, boy.
Did you say it? Did you?
Yeah, I think Inter is going to do
Inter
it.
win. Lazio against Sevilla. This game is in
Oh,
Rome.
my
game.
God.
How's there a game in Rome on Thursday and a game on Tuesday?
I don't
Wow,
want to answer this.
kind of crazy. I think it's gonna be. I'll say it.
I see a tie.
I say a draw. I
see
say
a
a draw.
draw.
I
Yeah.
put my fingers up. Sevilla's a very good team.
I think Lazio's been clicking, so I think Lazio has a good chance, especially at home. Why not? They gotta make. Listen, this game, Europa League, it's not an objective that they have to win. So they're just gonna play it out, and I think they've been playing pretty good right now.
So you say win?
Yeah.
Draw, Mike?
I like Peter's confidence. I'm gonna put him a win too. Lazio win.
Yeah, Lazio's going to win.
There we go.
Okay, last game. Zurich against Napoli. The game is in Zurich.
0-1.
Napoli win.
Napoli 3-0.
2-1 Napoli.
I say Napoli win, but I don't know
How
the other
much?
team.
Give me a
It's,
score.
I don't know, 2-0.
Okay.
2-0.
Yeah, Napoli's going to win.
Yeah. So that's all the games. Champions League is back. The Serie A is back.
Right.
Ludovico, as always,
Thank you so much for having
we're
me.
so
Always
happy.
a pleasure.
We're so happy to have you. I love the comments that you leave on IFTV on the Instagram sometimes too. He leaves comments on our Instagram. They're hilarious.
Yeah.
He tosses it out there. It's so funny. Anyway, guys, as always, keep watching, subscribe, rate the podcast 5 stars. Antonio's favorite part, 5 stelle. Follow us on Instagram at ItalianFootballTV, our new account. As always, thank you for watching. We'll talk to you soon.
Have a good
Ciao,
night, guys.
Ciao.
Guys.